young people will be having with themselves these days is who they are. Because the world is constantly, everything around them, voices are loud and telling them who they are, who they should be. Voices are loud and forcing them to just take on identities that may not even be theirs. They go on social media, they don't understand who they are. They have coaches, they have mentors, they have motivational speakers, they have their parents, they have their teachers, they have voices constantly telling them who they are. And I was asking myself, at the end of the day, many people will grow up confused, not knowing who they are. And I sat back and I was reflecting and I realized something very profound. I realized that a lot of people these days, we have a lot of opportunities to actually learn and grow. AI is there. Self-help books are there like they were never there before. So very many of us, we actually have the knowledge. We know what we are supposed to know. But one of the things that still makes us struggle till today is that even though we have the knowledge, we know what we are supposed to know, we do not have the right, we do not have the identity that gives us the energy to the identity that gives us the capacity to apply what we know. So what we know is theoretical. We have read a lot. We have learned to, do this, do that, get started. You are this, you are bold. We've learned all of that. Some of us, we can even teach it fluently, convincingly. But you see that identity, that inner belief, that the knowledge of who we are, not just the knowledge, the application of who we are in our everyday dealings that will make up, operate in the knowledge of who we are. Very many adults today, we struggle with that. It is why, despite all we know, we are still where we are. We are still who we are. Because who we are, we don't just wake up one day and change. It is why when we are raising our children today, we are super intentional. We just also don't want our children to know who they are in the head. We want them to know who they are operationally. We want them to know who they are in conduct. We want them to know who they are when they face events. Because, come to think of it, who you are, who you believe you are, is evidenced in the way you show up. When things happen, when events show up, the real you is going to show. We can't raise children who don't know who they are in this time and era. It is why in the Visionary Parents Academy, our challenge for this month is to deliberately nurture deep-rooted identity in our children. We want them to understand who they are. And we want them to run in the knowledge of who they are. If they do not understand who they are now, if you are not able to help them understand who they are now, the world will tell them who they should be. And at the end of the day, we don't want that. Someone is saying hello already. Hello, hi, thank you so much for joining. My name is Enimien Oruebor, and this is the Visionary Parents with Enimien Oruebor. The Visionary Parents Academy is an academy where parents get to be empowered. Parents get to learn, skill up, have the confidence to know exactly how to raise the parent they are. Shortly before, how to raise the children they have. Shortly before I got in here, I saw a video on Facebook. Unfortunately, I didn't save it. The lady was talking about how the brother is into drugs and how her parents failed her. She's the first child of the family, and she said repeatedly, my parents failed me, my parents failed me. And I was asking, as a parent watching me, if your child sets a ring light 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what will your child say about you? Will your child say you as a parent, you failed them? Will your child say you broke them? Will your child say you made them? Will your child say that you were their greatest pillar? What will your child say? Because the truth of the matter is, you can be doing your very best, but that best you are doing can actually be breaking your child. In that best you are doing, you can actually be failing your child. You think you are doing your best, but that best is failing your child. So let me ask you again. Sit down, think about it. Serious, have your self-talk, your self-conversation. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, my child sets a ring light. What is he going to say? What is she going to say? Is she going to say, I failed him? Is he going to say, I failed him? It is where we have the Visionary Parents Academy. We want to learn. We don't want to assume. We don't want our best to eventually sabotage our children. No. We realize that in this time and era, we need wisdom. We need knowledge. We need skills to raise our children. We realize that times have so changed. It is what we do in the Visionary Parents Academy. So if you want to be with us, if you want to be part of, it is a very vibrant community where we meet every single day. We learn, we unlearn, we build ourselves, build our skills, our confidence, and we thrive in our parenting. So if you want to join us, what you want to do is send a message and we'll just tell you how to join us. This month is about nurturing deep-rooted identity in our children. We want our children who know, we want to raise children who know who they are before the world tells them who they are. We want to raise children who are not only excelling in their strengths and being swallowed up in their weaknesses. Before I even came here, I was just thinking, I was making a Facebook post and I was just thinking about people, because we started this because in the Visionary Parents Academy, what we do is every month we take a theme, we run it through the month and we exhaust it. So for the next 4-5 weeks, you are going to hear me talk about identity, nurturing deep-rooted identity in your children. So because what we do in the month, every single month we take a theme. Last month was consistency. 2 months ago was reparenting ourselves. We look at all those things that are sabotaging us. And last month we built upon it, learning how to be consistent, how to show up consistently. And this month we are looking at nurturing deep-rooted identity in our children so that our children don't wake up tomorrow and have baggages and have to reparent themselves. At least wounds and baggages from us. We don't want them to have that. So I sat back and I was telling myself something. I said, very many times, parents notice, oh, their children have strengths, and they build on that strength. They applaud that strength. They celebrate that strength. They do not realize that these children also have weaknesses that they can also, maybe should I say, work on, improve on, because at the end of the day, that strength may not be sabotaged by the weakness. So the name just came to my mouth, Fela. And this morning, the Visionary Parents Academy, we also talk, I also referred to Fela when I was dropping my voice note, because we meet every day, morning and evening, and it's always there. You can come and visit and learn and ask your questions. You get personalized responses. It is super important. You have struggles, you have expert coaches. We have 4 coaches in the academy who will respond to you. And even if you okay, I don't want to maybe I have someone close to me in the academy, I don't want them to know what I'm struggling with, you can come inbox and we'll talk about it. It is a very vibrant academy. And apart from the academy, we also do mentorship for our children every holiday. Like this holiday, we have the self-leadership class. If you are following me on WhatsApp, you can go to my WhatsApp status. You will see some of what the children have actually presented in the mentorship class that started yesterday. You also want to send a message on how you can register your child for the mentorship class for this summer holiday. I promise you that your child will enter the next phase. They will go back to school more empowered, more equipped, and more confident. Okay, let's go back to the topic of today. So I was just looking at Fela. We know the legend Fela, and I was asking myself, how can someone who was so, I'm not talking about talent and music now, because we know how he is, should I use the word, a trailblazer in the Afrobeat music. Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about how someone that was so fearless, confronting government, talking about the ills in the society, how that same person was so sexually irresponsible. And I was telling myself, I was asking and I was doing my own findings, and I realized that one of the things that very many parents do is that, okay, when they notice a strength in their child, we take up that strength, we celebrate it, we announce it, we talk about it on and on. Our children become drunk in that strength, and we totally forget their weaknesses that can actually come and sabotage them in the long run. And I also realized that, yes, when we are talking about identity, we have different types of identity, and we are going to be talking about all of that today. Different types of identity, we are going to be talking about that. We are going to be talking about how our identities are formed. Like I said at the start of this class, a lot of us, you will agree with me that we know so much. Oh yes, we know so much. But the execution, we have a video in this channel that talks about execution, rather. The ability to execute, it is what we are lacking. And guess what? One of the reasons why we don't run with the knowledge we have or with the skills we have is not because we do not know. It's actually because we don't have the identity that fuels that energy for the knowledge we have. So a lot of us know how to do this thing, and we can even teach it how to do this, how to excel, how to be disciplined, how to be emotionally intelligent, how to make a lot of money, how to attract the right friends around you. We know all these things. We know them theoretically. But when it comes to actually practicing these things, we are not able, because over time we have grown to see ourselves as not able. We have taken on the identity that is limiting us. No matter who you are as a parent, no matter where you are, no matter what your struggles are, one of the things you need to do is don't pass your limitations to your children. Don't make the mistakes of passing your limitations to your children. It is why I said to the Visionary Parent Academy, when we talk about self-growth, we're not necessarily talking about being the richest man in Africa. We're not talking about being the most popular man in Africa. That is not the growth we are talking about. We are talking about in your little corner, in the things you do, shine confidently, boldly, have an identity that makes an impact, that is remarkable, something that your children will look back years from now and they will still remember you. You will make them, you will model strength to them. Even in your little capacity, you will model strength to them. You will give them that identity that is indeed a legacy. A legacy is not the one that the identity that tomorrow your child will not be struggling. Where do I belong? No. So in the Visionary Parent Academy, we have started this month, and day before yesterday, we started with asking our children a simple question. When people think of us as a family, what do they think we are? How do they see us? We talked about that. Because it is one thing for you to think you are in a certain way. It's another thing for people to actually see you. Like we shared in the Visionary Parent Academy one time, I talked about intentions and actions. And I said, yes, we all have intentions. But if your intention doesn't translate to your actions, people will not see your intentions because they are not witches. They are not inside of you. They will not see what you have in your mind. It is what you do with your hands, how you behave, how you show up that they are going to see. So you may have good intentions. You may have, oh, this is how I want to be identified. I want to be a patient person. I want to be XYZ. But if you don't show it in your doings, people, you will not be identified as that. We see this LGBT movement. We see how people say, oh, I am XYZ. When they give themselves whatever title they choose, you see, they appear that way. They dress that way. They carry themselves in such a manner that when people see them on the road, there is less argument about whether they are actually that or not. That is identity. That is what we want to nurture in our children, so that wherever they go, they are who they are. No matter the event, no matter the situation, they are who they are. Nurturing deep identity in our children. Let's go. Firstly, what is identity? Identity answers the question, who are you? Who are you? I am bold. I am courageous. I am smart. I am intelligent. I am forgiving. Identity answers the question who you are. Now, one of the things every parent must understand is that your child's identity is what shapes their decision. If your child does something, that is why I always say to parents, see, instead of us to look at behaviors, let's begin to look at the identity. Because your child will behave according to how they see themselves. It is. Everyone acts according to how they see themselves. They may come and argue, but that is just the truth. Because if your child believes that, okay, I can do exam and pass, they will sit for the exam. If they believe that if I do exam, I will not pass, they will not sit for the exam. I remember one time a parent reached out to me. The daughter was like, I don't want to go to school again. I want to learn tailoring. And we're talking about it. And I told her that, see, it wasn't as if your daughter was really interested in tailoring. Your daughter did not want to write JAMB again because she was afraid that she wasn't going to pass JAMB. And guess what? By the time the girl entered lesson and all of that, after talking, pep talking, encouragement and motivation, she sat down. Of course, she also learned skills, how to read better, how to answer questions smarter, and she wrote exam and she passed. This same person that said she didn't want to go to school again, she just wanted to settle for tailoring, she was the happiest creature on earth when she passed her JAMB and eventually got admission into school. Today, she's super happy. She's proud of herself. What does that tell you? It tells you that she not wanting to go to school was not actually because she didn't want to go to school. It was because she feared she was not going to pass. Why did she fear? Why did she not want to write exam again? Because she feared that she was not going to pass. She feared that I will not pass another exam again. That is it. Identity will shape how your child shows up, how your child behaves. So instead of us to always be thinking about correcting our children's behaviors, one of the things we can do that one of the coaches, Coach David, mentioned yesterday in the academy when she was taking us on this topic was that instead of correcting our children's behavior, we should focus on shaping their identity. Let our focus be shape their identity. Let them know who they are. So whenever your child does something, you want to pause and ask your child, this thing you are doing, does it define you? That was why in the Visionary Parents Academy, I gave them an assignment one time and also carried out the assignment. I told them that have your children sit down and write who they are. Tell them, sit down, look at who you are, who you believe you are, who you were created to be. Let where you are going influence who you are today and write it down. So after writing it down, help them articulate it. If possible, frame it. So whenever they misbehave, one of the things you want to ask them is, how does this define you? Is this who you are? Because if you say, okay, I am royalty, if you say I am a queen, if you say I am a role model, if you say I am patient, I am forgiving, if you write who you are, at the end of the day, you want to ask yourself, if you say you are patient, you are forgiving, and you are bickering with your brother, you are angry, you are telling your brother, you did this to me, I am going to do it to you too. You want to pause. Now, instead of you to be telling them, you don't do that to your brother now, you learn to forgive, which is correction. You want to ask them, remember you are forgiving. Is this who you are? You want to come from the angle of who you are. We are going to talk more about this when we get to nurturing identity in our children. So, but now we are still in the foundation. So, your child's identity, your identity is who you believe you are. Yes, like I said, it is one thing to say, oh, I am confident. But when it is time to show up, it is not what you have said, it is your belief. How you believe yourself will determine whether you will show up or not. It is you not showing up that shows whether you're actually confident or not. If you say you are self-disciplined, it's not about saying it. It is how you show up when temptation arises that determines whether you're actually self-disciplined or not. So your identity, who you are, determines how you show up every single time. It determines how your children show up. It determines what they do. what they do. Let's go. I put down something I wanted to share here. I said identity is your child's internal operating system. Think of operating your phone. You don't see it, but it controls everything. You don't see what is inside. No, but it controls every single thing. That is your child's identity. That is your identity as a human being. How your child thinks. Their identity controls how they think. How they make decisions, controlled by identity. How they chose their friends, controlled by who they are. What they believe they deserve, controlled by who they are. How they respond to failure, controlled by who they are. How they handle success, controlled by who they are. Whether they stand under pressure or follow the crowd, controls who they are. Whether they dream boldly or settle for less, they are all reflections of who they are, their identity. Identity answers the question of who am I? Am I capable? Am I loved? Am I valuable? Am I intelligent? Am I enough? Why do people join gangs? Why do children join gangs? You know, identity answers the question of where do I belong? Identity answers the question of what do I stand for? Identity answers the question of why am I here? Again, your child's identity reflects in every single thing they do. For example, I always tell my children, this is not you. This is not you. Now, this is because I know that they are still forming who they are. They are still forming their identity. As they are growing up, their identity is being formed. I know what, like I said at the start of this class, I know that children are constantly having conversations with themselves on who am I? Who am I? Their identity. They are constantly asking these questions. You know why they're asking these questions? Because in school, their teachers are talking. At home, you are talking. You are telling them who they are. The teachers are telling them you are just dumb. You are so dirty. You are just useless. Your head is empty. Their teachers are telling them all the time. You as a parent, you are telling them. They go to social media. Social media is telling them, this is it, this is that. Their friends are telling them. So they are constantly having the conversations with themselves. Who am I? Who are they? And guess what? When they also show up, maybe when they fall short, when they make mistakes and all of that, we, the parents, teachers, society, now reinforces that thing. Tells them again, this is who you are. Because you make mistake, you are dumb. Because you did this, you are irresponsible. Children now grow up with that. Because their identity is still shaping, is still forming in their small age. Now, this is why as a parent, you must be super intentional. Let's go into how identity is formed. Children are not born with fully developed identity. No one is born with fully developed identity. They build it over time through repeated messages and experiences. Repeated messages and experiences. Some will say, this thing has happened over and over again. Maybe this is just who I am supposed to be. Maybe this is my life. This is how my life is supposed to be. Through repeated messages and experiences. Messages they get from their environment. Messages they get from their parents, their teachers, people around. The message repetition is the mother of learning. So when that message is repeated over and over again, the child's identity begins to form. So let's go. Identity is shaped by what parents repeatedly say. As a parent, what you repeatedly say, the conversations you are repeatedly having. Number 2, how parents respond to mistakes. When your child makes a mistake, how you respond to it. Number 3, your family culture. This is super important. I have shared in this group before that, in this channel before, that the atmosphere for your your parenting can actually counter your best parenting intentions. By the atmosphere, actually mean your culture. What is operational in your home can sabotage your best parenting intentions. You can have good intentions, you can have good plans and strategies, structure, but if your culture, your family culture does not align with what you want to see, it is going to be a recipe for sabotage. Your family culture, it is very important. It's holiday. Let me ask you, what is operating in your home this holiday? Is it just wing it and wing out? Let me make something clear. Whether you sit down deliberately, like we are doing in the Visionary Parent Academy, deliberately create our identity and shape our children in that identity and work towards it, whether you do it deliberately or not, you have an identity. I was sharing this morning in the Visionary Parent Academy how I sat down yesterday. I was just thinking about families around us, because one of the tasks we have had so far, today is day 4. So every single day we have a task. We are building identity in our children. So every single day we have a task. One task to help us nurture deep-rooted identity in our children. So one of the tasks we had was sit back and have your children, have conversations with your children. Ask them, if people see our family, what perception do you think they have? How do you think they see us as a family? That was the conversation we had. And, I was also asking myself, families around me, families I'm kind of close to, how do I actually see them? Because I have never sat down to kind of evaluate families, except I'm doing research and I focus on the area of research I'm looking at. But this time around, I want to look at it from the area of identity. How do I see this family? And I realized that very many families, they are not intentionally building identity, but they still have identity. I know of a family that is very loud, very loud. They are always talking at the top of their voice, shouting and all of that. They did not intend. If someone describes them, you are such a loud family, they may be offended. They may see it as derogatory because they do not want it. They do not intend to be seen that way. But guess what? That is how they always show up. And I was talking about a particular family I know that they are always loud. And I remember someone was telling me that, these people, you can't deal with these people. When I was moving, you can't deal with these people. I said, these my people are very loud. And he now referenced that family. He said, for example, this particular family, can't you see how they talk, how they express themselves? They are always loud and all over the place. And guess what? That was when I realized, okay, because I was telling them in the Visionary Parent Academy that when we talk about identity, it has to be consistent. It's not something that is a one-off. It's not a one-off thing. It has to be consistent, because everyone that encounters you has to be able to say, okay, this is who you are. And I was telling them also that now this is why, for example, you meet someone. I don't know if it has ever happened to you before. It has happened to me. You meet someone and you say, you have the kind of a very familiar energy. You sound familiar, you look familiar, but I'm almost sure I have never met you before, but you are definitely very familiar, because that person has a familiar energy. It could be that where that person is coming from, their family, you have encountered that person with the same trait, consistent trait. I was on Facebook this morning also, and I saw this weak girl, this Miriam Oyakilome, the girl that was trying to help the weak girl. I saw her, she went to, I think, a restaurant or something like that. She was talking about, she met someone, and when the person said something, Kento, so she just knew, oh, this is my sister from Edo State. It's only Edo people that will say Kento. And then again, she went further to ask the woman, give me your phone number or your account number. And the woman said 3, and she said, hey, this is definitely my sister. And it was all fun, and she was laughing about it. So she did not have to know the woman prior to meeting the woman the day she met the woman. But something happened, because she has encountered those people before. She knows how they act. Now, when she met the woman and she heard the woman speak, she knew automatically that, this is familiar. This energy is familiar. This vibe is familiar. That is how identity works. So you can meet someone and you have never met them before, but something about them is super familiar because of their identity. So I was saying that identity is the way you show up every single time, consistently. consistently. And again, I was saying that sometimes people don't intend to take up certain identity. So some people, they are super angry. If you tell them who they are so angry. This is not me. I am not like this. I am not like that. No, they are so angry. They do not want to admit. You know why? Because they do not even like the identity they are giving themselves. They don't like it. But because they are not conscious of it, they are not intentional in working the identity they want for themselves, they just take on anything. It is why I said, whether you are deliberately nurturing deep-rooted identity that resonates with your values and your vision in your children or not, you are giving them an identity. They are shaping, the identity is being shaped by what you say, by the environment, by things around. And the unfortunate thing is, the identity may now end up not being the identity that you want, that you'll be proud of. So what do you want to do as a parent? Instead of just letting it, winging it, you want to deliberately now nurture in them that deep-rooted identity that is consistent, that is unshakable, that when they show up tomorrow, you are going to be proud of it. They are going to be proud of it because you know that that identity will do them a lot of good. Remember, our identity influences everything about us, how we show up, every single thing about us. Let's go. I was talking about family culture, how identities are formed or how identity is formed. I said what parents repeatedly say. Because as parents, we are the most trusted people in our children's lives. We are the most trusted, especially when they are still forming. That is why no matter how much you yell at your child, you smack your child as a parent, they still come back to you. Because you are their safe space. You are the most trusted person in their life. So no matter what they do, they'll rather come back to you than go to that stranger who is supposed to be the real safe space, until such a time they are able to reason on their own. So what you say repeatedly, your child will believe what you say repeatedly compared to what a total stranger is saying, teachers are saying, and everybody else is saying. You know why? Because your child, you know your child. Your child knows that you know them. So if you say something, it is easy for them to believe because they know that you know them. You have known them all their lives. They may not have known you all your lives because at some point you started having them, but you have known them all their lives. You have seen them in their most vulnerable. You have seen them in their weakest points. They know that you know them. So it is why when you say something, it hurts. They believe you because you know them. They feel disappointed. Someone does something to them outside. They don't feel as pained as you do to them because they know you. They know that you know them very well. So it's easy for you to shape your child as against anyone else shaping your child's identity. Okay, how parents respond to mistakes. When your child makes a mistake, how you respond to it shapes your child's identity. I always say this thing. If you have followed me long enough, you know I always say this thing repeatedly. One of the things we are quick to say to our children is, oh, mistakes are a learning curve. Mistakes are a part of life. Mistakes, we tell them, oh, Thomas Edison tried a million at one time. He kept making mistakes and he got it right. But when our children make mistakes, what do? We crucify them. We blame them. We demoralize them. We make them feel they are not good enough. So what you do in this case is that you are telling your child that you are stupid, you are not making a mistake. Because you have told your child that, okay, mistakes are a part of life. Great leaders make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone who succeeds in life makes mistakes. You've told your child that. Your child is supposed to believe and run with that. So when your child now makes mistake, you are now using that mistake against your child. Your child does not necessarily believe that you are wrong or you are countering what you said. Your child will not think they did not make mistake. They were stupid. They were foolish. Do you get the point? They now believe that there's other people make mistakes, but they did not make their mistake. They were stupid and they were foolish. shaping their identity. Culture, family culture. As a family, the way you behave, the way you act, the conversations you have, the conversations you have, the conversations you have with your child, the conversations you have around your child, the conversations you have generally, they are shaping your child. When we get to types of identity, according to me, what I have observed, I am going to talk more on this conversation you have with your child. Okay, let's go. Of course, school experiences. School play a very major role. I remember I've shared this story before. A certain coach was talking about how her friends in school bullied her into being kind of not being able to share herself much. According to her, she used to do well in school. So each time she did well, so she was called out, she would just own it, her success with her chest, and she was proud of herself. But there were some group of girls who felt, oh, you are always showing off. When they call you, you know you always show off, you know too much. So they started bullying her. So because of that, whenever she was called, she would just look for a way to dodge it. She would look for a way to hide it. Till today, as an adult, she's still struggling with being able to sell herself, being able to market herself, being able to show up because of that experience she had in school. We've had a lot of things. We've had people who are supposed to be and behave in certain way. We see what extraordinary beauty. Thank you. So we see them behave in the opposite way because of the experience they had in school. Friends also shape our children. In fact, there's one book I will encourage everybody to read, Nurture's Assumption by Judith Harris. It's one book I read back then in the university when I was doing my first degree in psychology. The author, Judith Harris, is big on that. Parenting plays less role in how a child turns out. How you are raising your child plays less role in how your child turns out compared to the environment, the friends, and all of that. Then, of course, friends play a very integral role in how your child shaping your child's identity. It is why even the friends your children have, we need to start by laying the foundation for them. Yes, friends play an integral role. Yes, the environment plays a great role. But as a parent, we can actually manipulate the environment, the friends, to make sure that our children meet people who are positive more, who are able to shape them positively. During this holiday, I was looking for a place for my son to learn a skill because he finished his junior WAEC and I didn't want him to stay at home for 2-3 months. That's a long time. So I was looking for a place for him to learn a skill, and I was very particular about the places I was looking for. I didn't just want him to go anywhere. Even the place I eventually got, owned by a young boy, all the people there are boys, they vibe a lot. He comes home to share it. I honestly wish I had another place that the owner was more intentional. The owner reads books. The owner sees them as not just apprentices. He sees them as mentees, people he actually mentors, people he impacts in them positively. I honestly wish I have a place like that where he can learn. I would have preferred such a place. The environment, friends, church, they play a great role. Oh yes, church plays a very integral role, in how our children turn out. Social media, we cannot take that away. We know the social media. Success. You should not have class now. Noise down. Welcome. Write your siblings.
Yes. They're outside.
Please go and tell them I'm in class so that they keep their noise down. Okay, so I was talking about social media playing a great role. I was talking about that. One of the reasons why we don't give our children phones when they are young. We wait for them to be mature to an extent to give them a phone so that they will be able to filter what is on social media. I mean, while we are waiting for them to mature, welcome Dada. While we are waiting for them to mature, we are also laying the foundation so that when they now mature and eventually have their phones, they are able to reason outside the box. Excuse me. Sorry. They are able to reason outside the box. They are able to discern. They are able to understand who they are. They have understood who they are already. So that whatever social media is saying, we are not even perturbed, because we know that we have done a lot of work. We have laid the foundation. Family successes and failures. How as a family we respond to successes and failures will shape our children. I was listening to, what's this man's name again, Adesanya, talking about if he had remained with his mom, he probably would have ended up being a shoemaker. Not that a shoemaker is bad, but he would have ended up being, those shoemaker by the junction who fix shoes and all of that, because that was it. Talking about family culture again, we'll talk about that in a short while. Family stories, comparison, trauma, repeated experiences. Every one of these whisper an answer to your child's question, an answer to the question, who am I? Every one of the things I just mentioned whispers an answer to your child's question, an answer to the question of who am I. Remember, like I said, your child is seeking to know who they are, and every single thing I mentioned, they are answering it, they are whispering it into your child. Now, the truth of the matter is, nurturing identity in our children matters a great deal, because if you know who you are, you will know how to act, you will know how to behave. If you know where you are coming from, you will know how to behave. There is something that we heard a lot growing up, something like, know the home you are coming from, know the child of whom you are. And I always ask, what did that actually mean? For very many of us, our parents, they just heard it and they said it. Sit down, you ask them, okay, who am I? Because if you say, know the child of who you are, know where you are coming from, who am I? The child of who am I? Whose child am I? Whose child? And what does your name stand? What does your name represent? Whose child am I now? Explain to me. Whose child am I? Somebody will say, please remember where you are coming from and make the family proud. What is the legacy of pride, of bringing pride to the family that I'm supposed to build upon? What is the legacy? Nothing. We are just living on earth. We are just winging our life. And you are telling me, no, if I want to act according to who I am or where I'm coming from, then I will just be a second you, or another number, insignificant number in the world, So joke apart. So let me give you now how I summed identity up that I want you to take and run with. Identity is the picture of your child, the picture your child carries in their mind about who they are, what they are worth, what they believe they can become, and how they should live. Or a shorter one, identity is the invisible script that quietly directs your child's every direction, even you as an adult. Identity is the invisible script that directs your direction every single time. As a parent, your greatest responsibility is not simply to raise a successful children, to raise children who know who they are. Because when a child knows who they are far less likely to become what the world wants them to be. A child who knows who they are. Let me share this story with you. I remember, because I just saw something recently. A Nigerian guy who was a student, and as a student he was a Christian, not just a Christian, he was a pastor in church, in school, like children's fellowship pastor. He went abroad and they saw that he had married another man, a man marrying a man, and the church here, they were all out, oh, this, he was not truly a Christian, he was faking and all of that. And somebody made a valid point and said, what if he actually married a man just so he could get opportunities there? What if it was just like a charade to get opportunity there? And if you look at that, let me give you another story that may not be so related, but you can tie it. I remember when we were in secondary school, after our secondary school, we were writing JAM, and there was this boy in my neighborhood, Wala. He wrote JAM when he was in SS3. You know, back then, when we were in secondary school, you used to finish SS3 before the following year you would now write JAM. That was the standard then. It was later, people started writing JAM SS3, even started writing JAM in SS2. So what happened then was, necessarily Wala wrote JAM. When he wrote JAM, his cutoff mark was not good enough for him to enter, going for medicine and surgery. That was what he wanted, to study medicine and surgery. His cutoff mark was not good enough. So what he did was, said he was going to take the JAM the following day. Now, very many of us were like, Wala no get sense. What Wala no use that one to enter school? Next year now, if you no get as you get, because his mark was impressive. They didn't give him medicine and surgery. They gave him another a course along medical line. I don't remember precisely, but he didn't get that exact particular course he wanted. He said he wasn't going to settle for any other course, that what he wanted was what he wanted. So he was ready to sit for JAM the following year. No matter what other people said, he did not budge. You know why? Because Wala knew who he was. He knew that the following year he was going to sit for JAM, he was going to pass it, and he was going to get into what he wanted. He was confident in himself because he knew who he was. He knew he could pass. He may have even known why he did not pass. Guess what? The following year, while I sat for JAM, he passed the JAM and he got into school. Back to the pastor I was talking about. The pastor got abroad. He probably thought, okay, there is nothing more I can offer, nothing else I can do. So what do I need to do? Is to marry another man like me and get the opportunities, because I can never get opportunities if I don't do that, because of who he is. Now, this is why I say he was a pastor, remember? This is why I say very many of us, we have the theoretical knowledge. We know what to do. But when it comes to operational knowledge, practicing that knowledge, we are not able. And the reason is simple. We do not have the identity that gives energy to the knowledge we have. We have the knowledge, but the identity that who we are does not reflect in practice of what we want. It is why very many people today, they have all the knowledge, all the know-how. When they speak, you are wondering, why are you still where you are? They know what to do, but you see that boldness, that confidence, that ability, that disruptiveness in a positive way, they do not have it. And for very many people, for you to start building those skills that are lacking, who is a lot, it is going to come with a whole lot. It's like the house, which is easier to start laying the foundation when the house is being built, or when the house is complete, bring it down and start again. You agree with me that a lot will go into bringing down a whole house and starting again. A lot will go into that. So for very many of us, we do not want that, because who is going to pay for the cost of bringing down the house? Who is going to pay for removing the rubbles? Who is going to pay for removing the foundation because we want to lay another foundation? Who is going to pay for starting all over again? And how much time do you have to start putting bricks by bricks, bricks by bricks, bricks by bricks, even though it's worth it? And where you are at it, bring you down the old house and starting again. What happens to the family you have, to the children you have, to the wife you have? How are you going to cater to them? You see? So it is why it is super easy for us as parents, as we are laying the foundation for our children, to start being intentional in laying it. Okay, so let's quickly move to what I call the 7 types of identity every parent is raising. Every child has an identity. The question is, what is that identity built upon? Like I said, whether you say, oh, I have an identity, my family is this, I am this or not, people will know you. They will describe you. That woman that is always angry, that woman that is not intolerant, is it not that one that gives up at this, that one that is always yelling all over the place, that one that is frustrated, that one that is this. There's an identity that you'll be identified. Whether you deliberately want people to identify you by certain things or not, there is how they will identify you. So a healthy child should have an identity rooted in character and values, not just in things that change overnight. Let's go. Different identity that I have observed in my research that we have. Performance identity. People, what they can, what they achieve. People are big on achievement. What they achieve is all there is to them. Is all there is to them. You know, one of the things that happens when what you can achieve is what there is to you is, at some point it fades. At some point, that identity is not such a strong legacy. At some point, that identity is not bankable. At some point, that identity is disputable. All you can achieve. These children believe that what comes from results. They feel valuable when they come first. They feel worthless when they fail. You hear statements like, I got 95, I came first, I failed, I disappointed everyone. The danger of the performance identity. When performance becomes an identity, failure becomes a personal crisis. Now, how do you know if your child is already building their identity based on performance? One, fear of failure. If your child fears to fail, they are building their identity based on performance. Two, perfectionism. They want to be perfect. Perfect. If it's not perfect, you are not catching them. They are building their identity based on performance. Three, anxiety. They are always anxious. They don't want to. They are afraid to try because they are always anxious. If your child is always anxious, your child is building their identity based on performance. Cheating to avoid looking bad. Because they don't want to fail exam, they want to cheat. Even in small sports they are playing, maybe board games, they also want to cheat because they just want to win. They want to win. If your child cheats not to look bad, they are basing their identity based on performance. Giving up after a setback, something is not working well, they want to give up because they don't want to be seen as failure. So let them give up now and look for an excuse to cover it. Your child is building their identity based on performance. And like I said, performance-based identity does not last. If your child builds their identity based on performance, it is why they are going to be broken. Eventually, when things don't go their way, they are going to be broken because it is only achievements for them. There was a story that trended one time of the man, according to a report then, he was the owner of Buka restaurant. He was the owner of Buka restaurant. What happened was that, according to report that was circulating, he just woke up one day and he took his life. They said things were not going well. What does that mean? It simply means that he based his identity on how much he achieved, how much he performed. So I'm giving you ways now to know your child, the identity your child is building. By Swiss Film. The identity your child is building, and I'll share how many ways with you. 5 ways to know if your child is an identity is based on performance. It is not a bad thing, but if their major identity is based on performance, Number 2, appearance identity. How do I look? Identity. This is becoming one of the biggest identity battles we have today. Children begin believing that they are valuable because of how they look. I am dark, I'm fair, I'm tall, I'm slim, I'm handsome, I'm beautiful, I have big bookters and all of that. Appearance-based identity. Or they believe they are less because they are not. Because social media, we know I talked about social media shaping identity. Social media is telling them how they look, how they do not look. So they see people at an advantage, they believe that, or they see people you celebrate at the end at an advantage more than them in certain things, or they believe, because of this. Someone said something, that a particular person is excelling because she's beautiful, she's lucky, she's beautiful, and they just gave a couple of excuses. So simply means that she was not doing well as she ought to have been doing because she's less beautiful. Appearance-based advantage. The danger of it that appearance fades, that's the danger. There is a saying in my place that I don't know how they say it, that actually that I can't believe I want to say this. They'll say Ikebe kebe nebilo. Ikebe kebe nebilo. Ikebe means a woman's butt, bum bum. So the bum bum doesn't remain appealing till dusk. That is what it means. So appearance. There are people who their identity is based on appearance, how they look. Oh, I'm beautiful. You hear people say to women, what do you bring to the table? It's a common conversation. At this beauty, I am beautiful. I'm bringing myself to the table. I'm bringing my beauty to the table. That is all they are worth. You also hear the boys, I am hot, I am this, I am that. That is all they have. All they are worth. Let's go. Approval identity. I am what people think of me. These children constantly seek validation. They cannot make decisions without approval. They fear rejection. They change themselves to fit in. This is why many teenagers succumb to peer pressure. Their identity is borrowed from the crowd. If your child is constantly, your child seeks approval all the time, you know that they are simply approval identity. That is what has been nurtured in them. As we grow, as we progress in this class, in this month, we are going to look at all of these things, talk about how to nurture the real identity that lasts in our children. It is where people are desperate. They are always seeking approval. They are desperate. They are always trying to fit in. This is what is trending. They are constantly desperate to fit in. And when I see people say it a lot, you see it. There was one time somebody said a South African or so took her life because people were body shaming her. As much as these people doing these things are not right to do them, but it is because someone has built their identity on appearance, on how they look. That is why when they are body shamed, because they believe that beauty is all they have got, when they have body shamed, they are completely broken and they want to go the extreme. Possession identity. I am what I own. My father has money. Omo babalowo. Remove that possession and they are reduced to nothing. Remove that possession and nothing is left in them. I wear designers. I use iPhone. It is the era we are. There's this show by one of these Nigeria influencers. What's her name? Nurse Mirage. When people come there, they are saying, what are you wearing? Rate what you are wearing. Talk about what you are wearing. Possession-driven era. So everyone is all about what I have, what I do not have. It is why people are very desperate. They go extra miles because for very many people, it's about what they have. That is all they can offer. What they have. Who do you know who I am? They wear designers. They use iPhone. They've traveled abroad. They live in Lekki. Possessions become their personality. Money can disappear. Money may not even disappear. Money cannot answer all things. You will always have someone that has more money than you. So what happens when you meet those people that have more money than you? The next one is pain identity. We know people that when when something happens to them, that becomes their identity. They rub it on their face. They carry themselves like the worst thing in the world has happened to them. Every single time they are wallowing in pity. And what happened to me? Some children begin defining themselves as their painful experiences. When their parents get divorced, when they are bullied, when they fail exam, when they are rejected, when they lost a parent, when pain is real. Pain is real. But pain should never become identity. Children should learn something happened to me. It is not who I am. Some children, they get traumatized. Some children, they get into a very terrible experience. Yes, they get abused and all of that. But that should never become who they are. That should never become who they are. The last one is group. Okay, no, that's not the last one. I think I wrote about 7. Group identity. My tribe, family, religion. Excuse me. Yes, please. Bring it quickly. I'm busy. It's fine. Slide the space, please. Close it in. Bye. Nene, please. And put these things to charge. Sorry about that. Is it sorry about that or sorry? I don't know. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. I had some children wanting a little favor. Okay, to plug their gadgets here. So group identity. I am my tribe. People will say, I am an Igbo man. I am a Yoruba woman. I am this. I am that. Okay, take away the Igbo. Take away the Yoruba. Who are you? Talk about who are you without your tribe? I am this. I am that. You know, I am my tribe, family, religion, school, or or circle. Someone said that if Seun Kuti was not Fela Kuti's son, who would Seun Kuti be? Group identity. If you take away the group, who are you without the group? Who is your child? Without you as your child's parent, as your child's covering, who is your child? Your child goes to a function, for example, and you are there. You can, okay, you want to help stand up for your child, help your child navigate. If you are not there, who is your child? Can your child function? Outside of you, can your child function? Because as much as we are going to talk about family branding, family identity, what about your child without that group they affiliate, that they are affiliated to? Children naturally belong to groups, yes. I'm a Benin girl. I'm a redeemer. I'm from Covenant University. I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm from a wealthy family. Healthy group identity creates belonging. Unhealthy group identity creates pride, prejudice, and dependence. Children must know belonging is important, but your character matters more than your label. The last identity is the character identity. Being defined by your values. As an adult, being defined by your values. Have raising children who are defined by their values. This is the identity every parent should build. So instead of saying I'm rich, your child says I am honest. Instead of I'm beautiful, your child says I am kind. Instead of I am first, I came first in class, your child says I am disciplined. Character survives failure. Resilience, yes. If the man who took his life had resilience as a character, if the man who took his life was not performative in identity, he probably wouldn't have taken his life, because he will have resilience as a character, as a strength to fight whatever he was going through. I am disciplined. Character survives failure. Character survives poverty. Character survives success. Character survives popularity. This is the identity that lasts. So this month in the Visionary Parent Academy, we are nurturing deep-rooted identity in our children. If you are not with us, please ask us how you can join us, because the Visionary Parent Academy is a very vibrant academy. It's an academy that is empowering and transformational. You will learn, you will unlearn, and you will build your own. You will be confident in your parenting. Remember, we also have this self-led mentorship class going on that you want to register your child quickly. We've already had our orientation. That's all we had on Monday, our orientation. Then for the remaining part of the month, we are going to have other classes. Like I shared, 12 classes, more than 6 coaches. So please send a message and ask how you can register your child with us in the self-leadership class. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Enimien Oruebor, and this is the Visionary Parent with Enimien Oruebor. See you next week. Bye-bye.